In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up a Plex media server on Raspberry Pi 5 in under 10 minutes. The only requirement of this video, you need a Raspberry Pi 5 with 4 gigs of RAM or higher, an Ethernet cable for internet connection, an official power supply, SD card for booting an operating system, an external SSD for storing the media files. That being said, it's time to flash an operating system onto the SD card. Open your browser and navigate to the following link. Download and install the Raspberry Pi imager. I'm using a Windows 11 computer, so I selected the corresponding version. Now once installed, open the software and connect the SD card through the USB 3 port on your computer. Now choose the device and select Raspberry Pi 5. Choose OS. For the sake of simplicity, I will use Raspberry Pi OS 64-bit Lite Edition. You can also use the Ubuntu server operating system. Then click on the storage device and choose your drive. Since we're installing the Lite edition of Raspberry Pi OS, it's important to enable SSH service upon booting. This way, we can remotely connect to Raspberry Pi 5 from another computer within a network. To do so, click on Next and choose this option to tweak some settings. Enable set hostname to identify the Raspberry Pi 5 on a network. For example, I'm going to set it as Raspberry Pi 5. Then set the username and password, for example, Pi5 as the username. You can enable wireless LAN and provide a valid SSID and password for automatic Wi-Fi connection after each reboot, but it's recommended to use an Ethernet cable for internet connection. Now set the locale and click on Save. Then click on the setting and tick this option to enable SSH. Then click on Write to flash the Raspberry Pi OS to the SD card. Now after flashing, remove and reconnect the SD card. Inside my computer, look for the bootfs partition and locate the config.txt file. You can overclock the Raspberry Pi 5 by adding some arguments to this file. This will adjust the CPU speed and voltage. In my case, I have overclocked the CPU to 2.8 GHz and GPU to 700 MHz. And lastly, the voltage is set to 3. Now keep in mind that overclocking requires official CPU cooler and power supply or any other charger that is capable of delivering 3 amps or more. Now once it's done, save the changes. Now remove the SD card from the computer and insert it into your Raspberry Pi. Now connect the power supply and external SSD and turn it on. To connect to the Raspberry Pi 5 from a remote computer, open Command Prompt on your Windows computer and type ping-4 raspberry pi 5.local. Here, Raspberry Pi 5 is the hostname I set to my Pi. Now running this command will display the IP address associated with that hostname on the network. Now as you can see, this is the current IP address assigned by router. You can use a tool called Advanced IP Scanner to find the IP address of Raspberry Pi 5. Now type SSH space Pi 5 and the IP address of the Raspberry Pi 5. Now replace the IP address with yours and enter the password. Now edit the SSH configuration file to extend the idle timeout limit for SSH connections. Uncomment the 2 specified lines. Now set the client alive interval to 1 million to keep the SSH connection active for several hours. Once you have made these changes, save them. Then run this command to update the source list. And if you see any updates, run this command to upgrade them. Now head over to this URL in your browser to set up CasaOS. Now copy this line and paste it on the command prompt. This installation will take a few minutes, so please be patient. And once it's done, reboot your Raspberry Pi by typing this command. Then after rebooting, reconnect back via SSH. Now open a new tab in your browser and enter the IP address of your Pi to access the CasaOS web UI. Set the username and password in CasaOS. And congratulations, you have successfully set up CasaOS on the Raspberry Pi. Now as you can see, this is the CasaOS web UI accessible with any network from any browser using the Raspberry Pi's IP address. The sidebar displays the real-time system usage. CasaOS provides a default file storage server for media files, documents, and more. You can use primary SD card storage space to store your media content, but I prefer to store them inside an external SSD. Now let's go ahead and format the external drive and import some media files into it. Go back to the command prompt or terminal and type sudo space -s to log in as the root user. Then type fdisk-l and press enter to see the list of drives connected to Raspberry Pi. In my case, this is the SSD I have connected. You can use another command, lsblk, to list the drives. The SDA is my external drive. Let's go ahead and format this drive. To do so, type cfdisk /dev/SDA, and the disk identifier in this case is SDA. Now press enter, select the free space using the arrow keys, highlight the new option and press enter. Then press enter again to use the full space, and you can see it uses the default Linux file system. Then highlight the right button to foster the changes. Now choose quit. If I type lsblk again, you will see one partition named SDA1 under this drive. Now let's format the new partition to use the ext4 file system. Simply type this command to format the partition. Once it's done, it's time to mount this partition. Now by default, CasaOS creates a folder named data. Now inside this directory, you will see a media folder containing 3 main folders. CasaOS uses this media folder for app services. We're going to create a new folder named USB inside data media by typing this command. Then type this command to give full permissions to this folder. Once it's done, mount the external SSD to this directory. And that's it, we have successfully mounted the external SSD. To make these changes persistent, type blkid and look for your external drive. In my case, devsda is the one. Simply copy the UUID argument, then type nano etc fstab and go to the bottom of the line, then paste the copied argument and type the mount path, which is /data, media, and USB. Now, this is where we have mounted an external SSD. Now give a space and type XD4 as the file system, then add a space, defaults, then space 0, add a space again and type 0. Now this line tells the system to automatically mount the external drive to the specified location every time the system reboots. Now once it's done, save the changes by pressing Ctrl+O and Ctrl+X to exit. Now navigate into this directory by typing this command. Then type this command to create two folders named USB Movies and USB Music. Now this is where we're going to import media content in a moment. Then type this command to give a full permissions to these folders. That's it, we're done formatting and mounting the external SSD. Now go back to the web browser and use CasaOS. Click on Files and you will see your USB drive. I'm going to go ahead and import some files that I shot from my computer. Just go ahead and drag and drop them like this. And that's it, we have done importing the media. Now go to the App Store in CasaOS and find the Plex server image to install it. Once installed, go back to the main page of CasaOS. Then go ahead and hover over this application. Click on this three-dot menu and choose Settings. Now look for the volumes. Now by default, Plex uses this mount point to grab media. We're going to change that and add this path. So technically, we're mapping the external drive to the media folder inside a Plex container. That's it, now save the changes. Now click on plus icon to launch the web UI. Go ahead and create a new user account and log in into Plex. You can proceed with the further steps and skip the Plex Pi setup if you don't need access to the premium content. Next, name the Plex server, example Raspberry Pi 5, and ensure this option is ticked and click on Next. Now under the media library, choose Add Library and select Movies. Add folders to tell the Plex server where the movie files are stored inside the storage device. Now choose Media and select USB Movies. Once it's done, add one more library and repeat the same process for other media types like music. Now you can access the Plex Media server and play media files from multiple devices. Now as you can see, this is coming from Plex, which can be watched for free. To access our content, choose More from the sidebar. Now select Movies, and you can now see all the files you copied to the Movies directory. Now as you can see, this is the 4K footage that is playing without any frame drops. I can play the same 4K video on 2 screens and 1080p video up to 4 screens. It's time to set up the static IP address for your Raspberry Pi 5. Now as you can see, this is the current IP address of my Raspberry Pi 5. If you want to set up a static IP address, it's recommended to do so through your Wi-Fi router by reserving the IP address permanently. Simply log in into your Wi-Fi router and look for the list of connected devices. find the Raspberry Pi file through its hostname and copy the MAC address. Then head over to the LAN settings and find DHCP server settings. In my case, I'm going to add a new static DHCP entry by pasting the MAC address, and I'm going to use this IP address. Your Wi-Fi router will reserve this IP address for Pi 5 forever. Now within a network, you can simply type the IP address with the port number 32400 into any computer's browser. It will open the Plex Media server. And that's pretty much it. This is how you can set up a Plex Media server on Raspberry Pi 5 under 10 minutes. Check the description for more information. Thanks for watching this video. This is been KSKRL. I will see you in the next one.